Hi, in case nobody told you today, I'm proud of yourself. You can be so proud of yourself for everything that you have been going through this year. I know that it wasn't easy, and I know it was very lonely, and I know it was not as successful as you wanted it to be, but trust that everything you have been going through this year was internally, and it was so that you become stronger, so that you can live the life that you're meant to be living. Why do I feel that so strongly? I feel it because I can only say these things when I have experienced them myself. And I believe that since everything is externally and internally connected, we as humans, that we find our tribes and our people based on the frequency and the energy wave we're on at the moment. So when I share my experience here, it will attract the people who can connect to that frequency of mine. And that's why it seems, wow, I know all these things, but I only know them because I feel them, I've experienced them, and you're one of them. You feel it too, you have experienced it too. And this year was very, very different for everyone who is on the same frequency, you and me and all the others who are watching the video or just fighting their battles internally in silence. This year was something like, I had a feeling that I'm in a divine waiting room, that I'm not saying in a prison, but it felt almost like I was put aside and my life was put on pause so that I can figure out who I am. And I had very, very intense phone calls in the last couple of days, and they more so felt like you know, when you study all year and then you write an exam and you get the results. And those two phone calls felt like my conclusion of the year, the results of the growth of the internal work, because I really had a feeling that for the first time in my life, I was put into a place and position where I had to sit with myself, where I could not run away, where I had to face all the things I've done, all the decisions I've made, and to really come to terms with where I am at in my life right now and with who I am right now as a person. And that was, oh my goodness, like painful is not a word for it. Painful does not describe it. It doesn't do it justice. It was embarrassing, shameful. I felt so naked. I felt so vulnerable. I felt so insecure. I felt so insignificant. Like, I absolutely don't know what I'm doing with my life at all. And so the conclusions or the feedback was that, because if you're watching this, maybe you also can connect to the feelings that you have lived your life so far and you thought, oh yeah, I'm so aligned already, I'm so this and that. But then you realize that actually everything you did and everything you were doing was based on fear, based on survival, was based on some push that was implanted inside of you in order to keep you going. But it was not really coming from an authentic place. It was not really coming from who you really are and who you're meant to become. And for example, this year I felt like I'm a housewife, okay? I felt like I was cooking every day, cleaning every day, and I was doing the groceries, and I was just doing all the housewife things, you know? And that for me obviously is something new. I know, like, sorry, something is scratching me here. I know that this is completely normal, but you need to understand that my life before was not normal. I was couch surfing, I was backpacking, I was sleeping in tents, I was taking care of other people's pets to have a roof above my head. And I hope that when you listen to this and you are like, oh, okay, she had to clean, she had to do the groceries, like, who cares, like, that's so normal. I agree, it is very normal. It is something that we're all doing, but please don't judge me and just try to understand, because that's also something I've learned this year, that we can really, really, really not judge, because sometimes a person is saying something and that triggers us and it makes us react in a way that we're like, oh my God, what a diva, oh my God, like so stupid, like what the, you know? And because I realized that so often stuff for our ears sounds so very different than it's actually meant, and the actual experience behind what caused the words to come out of someone else's mouth can be very, very, very different than our fast brains are trying to assume in a second once we hear something. So please be patient, and please be gentle, and please be kind, and please listen to the end and try to understand, okay? So anyways, my life this year, I felt like a housewife. I felt like everything is without my reach. I felt like my dreams are so far away. I'm like completely losing myself. I couldn't recognize myself anymore. I'm like, where's my ambition? Where's my motivation? Where's my passion? Like, where are all these things? Because before I was like a highly driven person. I was like so focused on my successes and everything. And this year it fell apart. And then I realized that what I connected to success, what I connected to my drive, to my ambition, was this adrenaline rush of survivor mode. I thought, oh my God, like this is how it feels when you're hustling. This is how it feels when you're pursuing your dreams. Like you constantly need to be in this fear. You constantly need to be in this survival, having these adrenaline, dopamine hits and rushes, until I realized that, well, it had nothing to do with how I want to pursue my career, but it was just the state I was in, you know, physically, mentally, everything. And now this year, where I was put into comfort, which was crazy for me, I felt like I don't exist anymore. And now, as the year is coming to an end very soon, I realize that this year was a year of grounding. This year was a year of sitting with yourself, feeling yourself, and just working through it. Because the brain always wants to figure it out. The brain always wants to have a quick fix. The brain always wants to like be occupied, do something, have a solution. But what I learned this year is that solution is not coming under force. Solution is not coming under pressure. You cannot force your life to change or to happen. You can change internally, and that means sit with yourself, but not in an aggressive way. Like be patient, be kind, and just let it out. You know, I mean, if you start letting it out with screaming and crying and everything, then that's great. But seriously, you guys, I have experienced now how it is to sit with yourself. And it's probably the most uncomfortable thing, because it's very, very easy to be happy and to be thriving when stuff is constantly going on, right? When you are so deeply involved in projects, when you have deadlines, when you have events, when you have this and that. I had none of these things. I only had family meetings, and I had, nothing. I didn't even travel. Like, I spent maybe in total 2 weeks with my husband from start till end, and that was it. So I spent months alone and hours every single day trying to occupy myself, trying to understand myself and what I want to do with my life and with my career, you know, because I feel like I gave up on myself. And at first I thought that this is something very dangerous and very negative, until I came to the conclusion I didn't give up on myself. I gave up that old version of myself. And then it felt like I gave up on myself, but I actually was letting go of my old self. And then it felt like I don't exist anymore. I cannot feel anything anymore. I'm not capable anymore. But it was more like this void that arose after I was letting go of my old self. I was so impatient and so eager, trying to fill it with anything that can be a quick fix. Though then I realized that there's nothing that can quickly fill it but God's Spirit alone. And I gave it to God, I gave it to nature, especially in the month where I couldn't move an inch because I was so sick with COVID and ear infection and sinus infection and throat infection and everything. It was really bad. So I gave it to God, and I was just like, please fully cleanse me, like take it away, take everything away that's no longer serving me. I don't want to be this person anymore. I can't continue like this, just take it away. And it was not so easy because especially, I mean, I have a very, very successful husband, like Capricorn and 5 other Capricorns in his chart, and just very masculine energy. So very disciplined, very forceful, very pushing, very consistent, like suppressing emotions, just like constantly doing something, constantly keeping the ball flowing, which I believe to a degree is a good thing. I mean, it all depends, right, what you want to achieve in your life, but I don't know, I just genuinely don't believe in this approach of life anymore. And we have a lot of conversations about it, because I don't know, it just feels like that this is the old world. It feels like that this is the old way of doing things, but it just feels wrong. Maybe it just feels wrong for me because it's not my way, and maybe for someone else it feels right because it's his or her way. But yeah, I felt a lot of pressure coming from his energy put on me to be successful and to do something with my life and my career, which obviously I want for myself as well. But I was dealing with actually letting everything go that I was doing, how he was doing it, 11/11 when I said that. So this is maybe a sign that everything is okay. You know, I was just letting go of all those forceful masculine approaches, and I was just sitting with myself and I was just sitting in the unknown of, well, realizing, okay, I'm not as successful as I want to be, I'm not even close, and that's okay. Like, it literally took me months to accept the fact that I'm not yet where I want to be, yet exactly where I'm meant to be. And I was very anxious and nervous when I had all these family visits and everyone was asking me what I'm doing. I mean, I'm working. I was doing so much more than I'm admitting here right now, but just because also you need to understand, for example, like some people have, like, let's say 100 things a year that they do, and that's like average, and 200 is extraordinary and 50 is just a little. I was probably doing like 180, but for my standards, compared to how he was usually working, it was just completely different. At the beginning, I labeled it as I'm not doing anything, which is so untrue. Like, so untrue. Do you tell a person who is meditating that he or she is not doing something, or journaling, or self-reflecting, or really going on walks to think about him or herself and his or her life? That is not doing something. For me, not doing something is scrolling mindlessly through social media, which I have done also this year a lot, way more than ever before. And I really realized the effects, which are not really good, honestly, obviously, which we all know. But yeah, I don't know, you know, I just want to really, when you watch this video, remove the shame and embrace that you're doing things differently than you used to do them, you know, because I don't want to do things anymore the way I did them, because they only served up until a certain point, but now I feel like they're just not serving anymore. So why would I continue to do them, you know? Why would I continue to load myself with things that absolutely don't serve me anymore? And I feel like for 2025, we should all embrace that we have changed as a human, we have changed as a society, or we are changing, and everything is constantly changing, and only us who are fighting against change stick to those strict routines, you know? I believe in routines, but I believe that we also need to learn again to be fluid in motion, and to change, and to adapt, and to surrender over and over again, in order to, well, not block ourselves, you know? And I feel like I've blocked myself a lot, and I hope that God is giving me the courage, because it takes a lot of courage to really truly let go and surrender and trust. And I hope God is giving me the courage to do so, you know, to really let go and to let my brain come to a rest, and to just be one with the cosmos and with my destiny. And I hope the same for you too.